let's talk about Diddy, Sean Love Combs. I believe he changed his name recently. Let's talk about him, his rise to fame, or more so, how he was the first influencer. You see, something about Diddy that's so interesting to me is how he's been able to use music as a tool. And I keep saying this to everyone, music is a marketing tool. But he's used music as a tool to become a billionaire and to become a mega superstar. Now, let's think about this. This is originally a music executive that saw how much attention music brought, sees how much attention music brings to an individual, and use that as a tool to make himself a billionaire. So let's break this down, right? Let's start with the notorious B.I.G. He signs all these people to his own record label. So he obviously understands the systems of record labels, understands the exploitations of record labels, partners. I believe he partnered with Jimmy Iovine, and that's how Bad Boy came about. And so he partners with Jimmy Iovine, creates Bad Boy, and then now signs all these people, owns a very lucrative record label, and has ownership in their music. Now, people give Diddy a lot of slack because he's known for having, talent that doesn't get bigger than him. He's always like the biggest person on his roster. It's kind of like how Jake Paul did like with the Team 10 situation. Like, at the end of the day, it was really about making himself more famous and making himself more relevant. So you would see him in these music videos with Biggie, you'd see him with Mace, you see him with all these music videos, making sure that he is relevant. And that really helped him create visibility around himself and made him become a celebrity. Some people might say he's not the most talented rappers. Some people claim that his raps are written, but at the end of the day, that doesn't matter because he was able to make himself a recording artist in addition to that, and that really propelled or pushed his fame even further. So he associated himself with the most talented acts, then collaborated with them through music, elevating himself as an artist, even though some would say he's not the most talented, but he would have the most talented people, writing his music, etc. Something just fell. He'd have the most talented people writing his music, etc. And so I say all that to say that music is a very important tool for marketing, and people need to understand this. Music today, when you think about music back in the day, music was about, not only was it a marketing tool, but it was also a product, right? It was a product that allows people to generate a lot of income through album sales. But in today's landscape with streaming, and let's just remember, before streaming, everybody was downloading their stuff for free. Some people were generous enough to go and buy stuff on iTunes, but a lot of people were not even willing to pay for music, during that, I want to say 05, maybe 04 to like 2012 era. So that's almost 10 years of not purchasing music. And then streaming comes about, and streaming doesn't pay anything for, you don't get paid much for streaming music. I think YouTubers can make more money than musicians like through streaming. But regardless of how much money you make from the products, from your music, like the songs that you create, it's not even about that. When you think about it, before it was the actual product, today it's the marketing, and it's what pushes you out to the world and makes more people know that you exist, makes people elevate you more than they elevate any other industry, artist, or anything. The most famous, the most praised, the most worshipped people on this planet are typically musicians. Right? And so Diddy understood that and used that as a tool to make himself a superstar. So that was the first stage, becoming a superstar. Then the second stage is influencer marketing. And he used influencer marketing as a tool Before the whole influencer space even existed, he was in influencer marketing. He was into influencer marketing. So he owned a record label. That's one revenue stream. Then the second stream of income was owning a clothing line. Now you see everybody now has merch. But he was like, no, I'm not going to call it merch. I'm going to call it high fashion luxury clothing, right? So he's making a crazy amount of money through the Sean John brand, right? And a crazy amount of money through the music, as back then it was a product, right? And then that has continued to escalate. You see, now in today's landscape, we see him with Ciroc. So he launched Ciroc, now actually saying that it's the number one vodka company, I believe, in America. I'm not sure, but he came on the Ellen show and he announced that it's like number one. It's surpassed Grey Goose. And it's very impressive what he's been able to do with that, because when you think about his brand, he kind of was the entertainer that glossed up the rap game. He made it fancy. He made it like luxurious, because before that, rap wasn't, it wasn't really about that. It was about grassroots. It was about, it was just about, I saw this really interesting quote about what rap is, but let me just try and remember it off the top of my head. But basically, rap used to be about the black people who had their voices deafened, being able to wake people up and get people to acknowledge and understand the hardships. Now what rap does is the opposite of that. It actually keeps people asleep and promotes people to go into drugs and all that stuff. And I'm not going to say Diddy contributed to that. I don't believe that, but I do believe that he contributed to the lifestyle element of rap, making it luxurious. We see him in the fur coats with the diamonds, in the private jets, in the, helicopters, just that lavish lifestyle that he really pushed in the 90s through hip hop. That was a new image, and he was one of the pioneers of that. But in addition to that, he was able to create a lifestyle brand out of that. And having a lifestyle brand means that you can then sell lifestyle products. And because the nature of hip hop, it's played in the nightclubs, it made the most sense for him to own a vodka company, right? So he's like, and that's the importance of strategic, what do they call product design? Because it's one thing to build a following and have a lot of people following you, a lot of people praising you or whatever, and wanting to buy into you. But when the product that you release is aligned with your brand and it's almost like a utility based on how people consume your content, they can consume this product, together with it, right? That also helps you, increases your chances of making a lot of money, right? So how was he able to push Ciroc to become the number one vodka company? He claims, I don't know if it's in America or in the world, but to push it to that, he's also selling this brand that is, luxurious. When you think about Ciroc, it's very luxurious. He's now launched Ciroc Spritz, which is, there are other vodka companies with their own versions of spritz and all that stuff, but none of them are as luxurious as, look at the packaging. It just looks incredible. It looks like luxury. And that's what he's selling, lifestyle, luxury, etc. So not only has he become the biggest influencer, or has he been he was the biggest, he started influencer marketing. He showed people the importance of ownership, and now in this new era, in this new space, we see the Rihanna's owning her own products, etc. We see Kanye West, we see Kim Kardashian all becoming billionaires, but they're all following in Sean Love Combs' footsteps. His new name is Love. That's why I'm calling him that. His middle name is Love or something. So they're all following in his footsteps. He paved the way. And I just wanted to address something because a lot of people give him slack. A lot of people give him slack um, for the fact that, most of these artists that have gone through Bad Boy, they don't end up, they don't last. It seems as though he takes from them, or he uses them to elevate himself and make himself more famous. It's almost like they say he exploits them. But I think that it's kind of crazy to me that everyone's pointing the finger at him, and people tend to point the finger at, especially the black community points the finger at black people that do this. But this is what the music industry does. And in fact, they are far worse than him. And in fact, you know, it's not as though he exclusively owns Bad Boy. It's still a branch. I believe like most of these labels, they're still branches of bigger record companies, and those bigger record companies are exploiting. So I'm not saying that it's a good thing that they exploit, because I break down in a few videos why you should not get exploited as an artist. But I just want to just emphasize the point that this is the way the industry has always been built. Now, when you think about someone like Jay-Z, his agenda was to change that, to push that differently, and still people give him a lot of slack. But people don't understand that business is business. Just because there's a face and a brand that we love, a person that we love that's attached to this big company, people just expect the human element coming out of him. But this is a business that they're running. So, Jay-Z has gotten some slack for doing some quote unquote shady business moves. But ultimately, when we look at all the people that came up under Jay-Z, they're all richer than him. They're all billionaires. Think about Kanye West. Think about Rihanna, right? And the irony is, in business, you don't necessarily have to be generous. And I think it's better for each individual to create a business model. As an artist, you don't even need a record label. So if you're going to put yourself in that position and you're not going to read the contracts and you're not going to secure yourself and you're not going to be able to walk away from a deal, because Diddy has a whole video where he talks about he'll walk away from the deal. He doesn't care if it's like $1 less than what he wants, or, if he wants what he wants, he's going to get what he wants. But people are just so eager for the fame, for the money, that they're willing to get exploited. Well, that's your fault for not doing your due diligence, right? And why did you have to turn around and point fingers at Diddy when that's actually the way the whole industry works, and that's how everybody in the industry behaves? It's business. Business is tough. Business is not personal. And business can be exploitative. So it's everybody's duty to secure themselves and make sure they're not exploited. Now, I like what Jay-Z is doing. Like, yes, that's the way it goes, sure. But I love what Jay-Z is doing with Rock Nation, his management company, which works with musicians to ensure that they are not exploited, because he understands some of the pain points. And sure, I think it takes pioneers like him to change the narrative and change the system, right? But you can't not everybody is a saint. Not everyone is going to do that. So I just think people need to just be like less harsh on Diddy. He's still an incredible entrepreneur, has achieved so much, and is he has a very impressive resume. But anyway, I wanted to just talk about this, like how he's used Ciroc to become, he's used Ciroc and he's making crazy money. Then he has another liquor company, a tequila company, can't remember the name. It's just inspiration for everyone. Like, if you want to enter the music business, or if you want to enter the entertainment business, consider figuring out how you can use music as a tool to market yourself, because that's a marketing tool. And then you need to drive people to a purchase, and that purchase should be ideally a high ticket purchase. Even if you're a filmmaker, if you can figure out how to incorporate, because I think people need to understand in the Web 3 world, content is not, or even the Web 2 world, actually, not even just Web 3, but content is no longer the product. Content is not the product. Yes, if you're lucky enough to go to Netflix and they buy your stuff, awesome. But most people, that's not going to happen to you. On YouTube, ask any YouTube creator, AdSense is the least is typically not the highest stream of income that they have. So think about it like content is the marketing tool, and yes, you can generate income financially from it as a bonus. Potentially you can do that, but it's really there to market. So whether you create music, you create films, you create YouTube videos, these are all marketing tools, and your goal should be to drive people to a product, a high ticket product, so you can generate income that way, whether that's a clothing line, whether that's vodka, whether that's your own shoe line, whatever it is, figure out something. And I think the way the world is going now, bigger companies are going to become more obsolete. I believe that the world is going to be run by influencer companies, individuals connecting to you one-on-one and selling to you one-on-one. There was an article that talks about, well, I'm not going to bring up this article, but just understanding the power of influencer marketing, and the fact that these big companies still have to come to influencers to convince these influencers audiences to come to their company. Why sell other people's stuff when you can sell your own stuff and become a billionaire that way instead of getting a small portion of the paycheck? Yes, it's a lot of work to build out those systems, but it's for those that really want it ultimately. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. My name is Kenim, and see you next time. A peace and stream.